2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to another album review by On Beat Off Script. Mel's got her face full right now. Sorry for the Spotify listeners. You just get to picture that instead. Today we're going to be covering Ambiguous Desire by Arlo Parks. Album just dropped yesterday, April 3rd, since it is the 4th today. So pretty excited to go through it. I've been a big fan of Arlo Parks since her 2023 album had come out, which we'll get into a little bit here in detail over the next little bit. But before we dive too much into the album, Mel, Bob. Sorry, I should say I'm Brandito. I'm joined by Mel and Bob. They're here with me. I mean, you knew Mel was here. Just casually chewing on camera. So that's fun.
I haven't had a chance to eat yet. It's almost 2 o'clock.
Me neither.
I was starting to get a little woozy.
Me neither. That's what happens when we have to get things done first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
But before we do that, how are you guys doing?
Good. I'm hungry, but I'm getting fucking roasted for it.
I ate during break. It was delightful. Some of the pizza that Trent made on the Stardew Valley cookbook
chewing
pizza.
Before you came back. Well, that's remarkable.
Look, I might take a bite here and there. I won't put the audio in, I promise, because chewing is gross.
I hope you do, actually. But yeah, feeling good. Ready
Glad
to dive into Arlo. Yeah.
Okay, well let's get into the album before Mel can start scarfing down some more
Chewing
food.
again?
Yeah, here we go. So Inez Marino, better known as Arlo Parks, is an English indie pop artist who's been doing things since 2018. She started off uploading demos to BBC Music Introducing, which caught the attention of radio stations kind of across the UK. Unbelievable now. This led to her singing with manager Ali Raymond of Beatnik Creative, who released her debut single, Cola, in 2018. She dropped her debut double EP, Super Sad Generation, in 2019, which was recorded in her own home and an Airbnb in London. Unfortunately, as the success began to take off, she was scheduled to go on tour in 2020, but it was cut because, well, we all know what happened in 2020. However, she was still releasing singles kind of the whole way through. Black Dog making it to BBC Radio 1's Tune of the Week and got her a front page cover on NME. Which was kind of cool. Further, she began recording and releasing her 2021 debut album, Collapsed in Sunbeams, which won her the Breakthrough Artist of the Year at the 2021 Brit Awards, as well as the Hyundai Mercury Prize and nominations at the Grammys for Best New Artist and Best Alternative Music Album. In 2022, she was able to, this is how I know Mel is very Arlo Parks coded, or vice versa. She was opening for Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, and Clairo, and joined Phoebe Bridgers to perform at the Glastonbury Festival.
Love all of the above.
She also released her second album, My Soft Machine, in 2023, which was my first introduction to her, and I emphatically loved that. It had strong reviews and is pretty much the reason we're covering her right now. Really rock solid album. I do strongly recommend. And then in 2024, she actually got a credit for the song Ya Ya on Beyonce's album, Grammy-winning album of the year, Cowboy Carter. So Arlo Parks had a big piece of that. Again, part of exactly why I was like, Mel's going to be a big fan of Arlo Parks. Arlo Parks has named an eclectic number of artists as influences, including Elliott Smith, Radiohead, and Joni Mitchell. And when you hear her music, you can hear the kind of gaziness and the songwriting of all of the above kind of really coming to the forefront. As a very thoughtful artist, not just lyrically, but in the kind of the song creation as well. Ambiguous Desire really hones in on kind of night owl type activity. As she said, she really wanted to tap into kind of those nocturnal spaces, allowing the evening to let her become whoever she wanted and kind of escape the world of an already successful artist and instead kind of succumb to those really kind of absolutely human moments that tend to only happen at night. But yeah.
Sultry.
How did you guys feel before jumping into the album about Arlo Parks? Did you know who they were, what they did, or were you excited for it? I don't know. Tell me.
This will come as no surprise to our longtime listeners and watchers. I had no effing clue who Arlo Parks was, so And I like to try and go into these without knowing anything about them whatsoever before I start listening to the album. So no idea what the genre was or anything like that. So to say I was pleasantly surprised is an understatement. We'll go with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never really listened to Arlo Parks. I've only heard of them because they were an opener for Harry Styles, so I saw their name on the tour poster. But I was excited to dive into this one.
Cool. Right on. Well, let's dive right into it. The opening track here, Blue Disco. Let's go ahead and give it a little listen.
I instantly loved this vibe. Very like dreamscapey. The guitar was a huge highlight for me on this one. It was so versatile and doing so much, and I was having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it's pleasant bass to jump into. The vocals are soothing. Just an immediate night owl vibe, kind of. You're cruising around at nighttime around the city, checking out all the sights. Great introduction. I'm immediately in with this.
Yeah, I knew this record was going to ooze cool, so I was really pumped about it. It started off exactly that way. That really lo-fi vibe in the backtrack was really perfect. It just sort of gives off this laid-back, chill, almost borderline like electronica sort of like space that I really appreciated. Yeah, it's a dreamy old Sunday morning, listen with a coffee and a sunbeam kind of vibe, which I know she was going for the evening, but for me, like I like to
You're a morning
reflect
person.
on my nights out. Yeah, I'm a morning person. That's 100% what it is. But I remember, after a big night out, you sit down and have a coffee the next day and you start thinking about all the kind of fun that you had the night before. And I felt like this kind of really embodied that. The being without that moment, even though you were within it, is I think kind of something that really penetrates through this whole album that I really liked. There's just an inherent simplicity to Arlo's style that I just really appreciate. I think she really just kind of sets the tone no matter where it is. So this song was no aside from any of that. But yeah, and then we get to pop into the next track, second track of the album, Jetta. Let's go ahead and listen a little bit.
I've been thinking about the way I tried the night, all thinking about the way I give and chase, thinking about the way I can't detach, 'cause I just wanna stay. City slips out first, blushing in slow-mo, leather and pink chrome, head to toe.
Immediate favorite on the album. I loved this song. It's both optimistic and like hazy in a good way. Drum and bass again, just so soft and welcoming, and just like so much of a groove that I'm just really feeling good about. Then you got this like jump into dance music in the last like 20 seconds that is, even though it's like out of the blue a little bit, it's also just seamlessly in there. Like it's amazing. I love this song.
Yeah, this is one of my top 3 for sure. I loved the vocal layering in the chorus. It was so satisfying to me. A lot of like quirky things happening with like bass and guitar, which were a big highlight for me. I love how like dreamy everything is. Like this aesthetic is just it's hitting right where it needs to. And like the beat transition at the end was so much fun.
Yeah, obviously you get a little bit more of kind of this Afro step kind of beat with it, but it still really sits in that lo-fi and like less edges kind of a feeling, which I liked a lot. It the intention of the album, like, it was nailed on the head, in my opinion. And on a track like this, it makes me think reminiscently about, you know, I remember like nightlife and like the subtlety of everything, while everything still kind of held its own like specific vibrance at the same time. I thought that was really cool. This was a banger. Then it breaks down into that club dance beat, which I thought was a really cool change up for the intention of the song and the album. It's about kind of being in between everything while everything is happening kind of around you. And I remember that from my own youth, and like everything kind of happening with or without you. Like, I just thought it was a really cool reprieve. I thought it was like it's doing exactly what I wanted it to demonstrate, and I was a big fan of this track as well. Didn't hit my top 3, which is saying quite a lot about how I felt about this album.
Interesting.
So,
I loved this one.
so we get a little bit more shaker beat going as we roll over into Get Go.
Says I could only tell you this. I don't know what the hell I need. I kinda wish I wasn't me. Yeah, baby, could you pull me out? Yeah, could you stay and dance with me? Yeah, I don't wanna ever leave.
Yeah, there was like a radio intro for this one that I thought added a fun, like it just added a lot of personality. I thought that was fun. I again love the beat, and that little twangy beat happening on top of it was, I loved it. It tickled something. And I really love the chorus on this one. It's like she's been so restrained, and I felt like this was the most like I say explosive in quotes because it's not very explosive, but it's like the most cathartic she's been so far. But I like how lyrically she's saying, I don't want to let go, but this is like the closest she's been to letting herself let go, which it made it like stand out for me even more.
Yeah, the bass and the vocals continue to kind of carry here. I think it's, and I also noted the little twang, as you put, Mel, in between the bass. It kind of tickled the brain, if you will. Just a solid vibe all around. Again, a little bit hazy in a good way. Definitely still driving down the street at night, enjoying the sights and sounds.
I 100% wrote down that specific thing. So yeah, obviously, like I said, you got the shaker beats that are coming through. I don't hate it. I'm enjoying it. It's giving us some tempo. You just get this super like hyper mellow groove that like is exactly what my brain wanted yesterday when I was listening to it. It was really fun that way. I could listen to this song pretty much in any situation, and honestly, truthfully, this whole album kind of just ends up being a lot more of that. The more specific pacing of this track does feel like a nighttime driving song, is what I put. So like I think I'm gonna feel pretty much the same way through this whole album. I'll tell you at the end of the album how I felt about all of that. Also, the production of this and the casualness of her performance like really made me want to pull out my turntables and like start screwing around with them. Like I'm not much more I can say that I'm not gonna already say or I haven't already said. We're gonna kind of keep going with that. That takes us into our first feature, which is Senses featuring Sampha, which I'm really stoked about because I also really love Sampha a lot. Let's go ahead and give it a listen, and then we can go into a little bit of a breakdown on it.
Now I'm here, feeling super bad about it. Trying to find the courage, turning up the shower on cold. If I tell you that I'm trying, is it better than? Is it better than? I can't find no love for myself. Is it better than? Is it better than? I can't find no love for myself. Is it better than? Is it better than? I can't find no love for myself. Is it better than? Is it better than? I can't find no love for myself.
I loved this. This is probably my favorite. I was a big fan of this one. There's so much happening in the background. It's adding so much fun texture. Their voices together contrast so beautifully and in the most satisfying way. Again, that beat like builds up a lot of tension towards the end of the chorus, and I love when it finally releases for like the next verses. It's like I'm almost holding my breath with them. The outro was the one thing that broke me kind of out of my vibe, and I was unsure how to feel about it at the time because I was just really enjoying the vibe, but I'm not mad at it. I was just kind of thrown.
Yeah. You and I had very similar notes for this. Yeah,
Really?
Satisfying. It's just, underline the word satisfying. This just, it's so satisfying. This music is just like, it hits you in the right way. Like, it just feels good to listen to. Like, I can feel elation as I hear this. They complement each other so well, Arlo and Sampha. I love them going back and forth the way they do, and yeah, solid track.
Yeah, I was ecstatic to see that I was going to get a collab between Arlo Parks and Sampha, because like genuinely, Lahai and My Soft Machine were both in Lahai by Sampha, and then My Soft Machine by Arlo. They were both in like my top 25 albums from 2023, so like thoroughly enjoyed them. Maybe even they crossed into like the top 15 territory. So I was really excited about that. Love the super chordy organ on it to start. You get this little kind of indie drum beat in there that I literally wrote Mama about it. So that's kind of cool. Sampha's vocals coming in was just really cool. Like, I love it. It's dripping with vibe, and like that's like so much fun. The Sampha breakdown on the tail end of the track, like his voice is just so special. I'm a huge fan there. It was a really interesting way to end it out, but I think I like the rest of that track just too much to let it ruin it for me. Like,
I agree there.
This was for sure my favorite track on the album.
Wow.
I'm with you on that. So,
Top 3 for me, for sure.
Oh,
wow.
Cool.
hit.
Well,
it's almost like heaven.
Yeah,
Listen to
almost
this. Yeah.
like. Let's go ahead and...
I had to get one in.
Doesn't gasoline. My friends spilling out into the streets. Let's get involved. Let's get involved until the door breaks.
That like pre-chorus like drop I can feel in my soul. I love it so much. I think this one's another one of my top 3. This might be number 3. And yeah, I could very happily have this album on in almost literally any situation. I'm like enjoying this so much.
Yeah. Another amazing bass line that just you feel in your soul, as you say. I like that the song keeps going for another like 30 seconds or so after the lyrics are done, just so you can continue like living in it. Because this is a top 3 for me for sure on the album. Nice. I love this one.
Yeah. It pops into, again, kind of that Afrobeat sort of style again, really kind of draws on her Naija background and stuff like that. Really sort of dreamy with the accents and like the vocals and the chorotica pianos and stuff like that with it. But then you get that bass pumping, and it's a really cool touch. And then you get those like traditional kind of like piano spots on that really kind of booming bass. It comes in, disrupts the flow of the calmness that the track has, and then returns back to that calmness beside it. And it kind of like reminds me of just like walking down a street, like where all the clubs are. And like, as you're walking past one, you can hear like the bass coming from each of them as you're walking by. And then as you pass it, that fades off into the distance, and you're then walking to kind of the next club. And like, that just, it really made it reminiscent of that for me.
I love really that visual.
That's so specific, but
I really love that. Yeah.
It's like, it's a really sweet track. Like, it's growing on, like, this whole album is just really growing on me like a lot. I love it. It's doing a really good job. But then we get into Beams. So let's talk about some Beams.
All right.
It's not a way to treat people you love. I know it's not a way to treat people you love. People you love. People you love. I
Realizing it's actually hard to pick a favorite. I love I'm like really enjoying all of them.
Yeah.
The drums were a big highlight for me on this one. I thought the keys were a really nice touch. And I love how like she's singing I'm scared of what I've done, but everything's so twinkly that it's like still very hopeful.
Definitely a little bit of a tone shift here. It's a bit floatier, a bit more dreamscapey than I think a lot of the rest of the album is.
It switches to more of an indie pop vibe.
Indie pop, yeah. Because of that, like it took me out of the vibe I was in just a little bit. Probably not my favorite on the album. I would say like if the rest of the album is 10s, this would be like an 8.5 kind of thing. Like it's still a very good song, but it just like wasn't the vibe I was in. You know what I mean? So it took me out of it a little bit. But yeah, it's still a great song.
So this ended up being one of my favorite tracks, but I wrote I'm gonna read right like word for word what I wrote. Right, this is a bit softer, more of an indie pop sphere on this one. I can dig it, but it might be one of those tracks that doesn't do it as hard for me. And my next point was still so good, and I find myself being pulled fully into that sphere now too. And then I said, yeah, never mind, I'm in on this. And like it ended up being one of my favorites by the time, because like it still matched the complexion of everything else I was going through. It just took a little bit of a tone shift that I thought that was really, really nice. It would usually like take me out of the album, and I'd usually call it a low light when I get that kind of aggressive tone shift. Yeah. But I think it didn't aggressively throw me out of it the way that I thought that it was going to, the way that it opened up. It ended up really kind of falling back into that same space. So something about her writing and her style just like really, really grabs me and pulls me back in on this track. It's ended up being another one of my top 3 tracks on this album because of that, because this was, like, again, how much I've liked so much of the rest of the album. And then this, with a slight tone shift, it doesn't feel one-dimensional like we kind of just talked about with Jose Gonzalez, where a lot of that album felt very one-dimensional and it hurt a lot of the rating for me. This one, it gave me an extra dimension without pulling me out of the mind space that I think she was trying to create with it. And I have a even bigger appreciation for it because of that. But that takes us into a short little track called South Seconds. It's only 1 minute and 48 seconds, but we did still grab a clip from it. So let's go ahead and give that a little listen.
Yeah.
'Cause you cut through me, and that's not a bad thing. Do you hate what you see? Yeah, you know that I'm scared. I'm scared of love, but I try to. Trust we want the same things. With the sun in your hand. Can't go back, can't go back, can't go back. Can't go back, can't go back, can't go back. Can't go back.
I loved this one, was so stripped back in comparison to what she's been serving us, and it just made it feel so much more vulnerable. I just thought this was such a pretty interlude, and it really kind of like set like it really kind of, I don't know, I guess gave me more context as to like what headspace she's in, why she's going through this, and I had a great appreciation for it.
Yeah, very pretty. I think is a good continuation of the kind of a little bit of switch in the headspace from the last song. Yeah, I mean, 1.5 minutes. You're not looking too deeply into this. Nothing crazy. But yeah, very, very pleasant. Again, pleasant to listen to. Nice to listen to.
100%. Like I said, I do think that it showed some of that dynamicism that I think we're looking for, what I'm looking for when I'm looking at reviewing these albums and stuff like that too. What are you doing as an artist? And this really kind of slipped into that soulful singer-songwriter spot that I thought, but also only does it for a short period of time, which I think helps not completely yank you out of everything that's going on there. Really pretty. It's really sweet and loving, really simple. I enjoy it, and this would be a track that would usually take me out based on the rest of the project. So I do understand like that side of it. It is still that tone shift. And it does kind of do that just a little bit for me, but you know, because it's so short and sweet, it doesn't feel like it really pulls me too far back that I can't get immediately back into it.
Yeah.
Which we do with Night Swimming, which I'm going to play for you right now.
Meow.
Baby, you know what I need. You're the place I go when I crave a little peace, a little peace, a little peace, a little peace. Just a moment in time, 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 just a moment, just a moment, just a moment, just a moment, just a moment in time.
I'm such a big fan of the slow and subtle like build up, and when it finally breaks, she's like so subtly cathartic. Like she was like in the I think it was Get Go that I was mentioning that. Like she shows so much restraint, so when she does let go, it's just so much more impactful for me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is another one of my top 3 tracks on the album. I love that we're kind of back to this vibe. The beat reminds me of some like early The Streets, the garage beats. It kind of prevails throughout the track. I'm really a fan of it. Just a moment in time, man. This is just another great song on a what's becoming a great album for me.
Yeah, 100%. So you get that Afrobeat feeling right off the hop again, which I obviously really appreciate. It opens up a little bit slow, and I was like really waiting for her vocals to really penetrate, and then the add-in of that jazzier piano, which eventually does happen, and it never fails on me, honestly. Like it worked really well. The glitchier sound buzzes in there makes me think of a lot of the music that I was listening to when I was doing my nightlife stuff. Bands like Cherub, that kind of thing, which I love a lot. So like that was really nice. It's really so soft spoken, but it has me moving pretty much constantly. Like it's not conventional dance music, but like the whole time I'm like I can't not want to be moving with it. Yeah. It's just it does such a good job of doing that without being in your face, without you know what I'm going for. I thought this was an awesome track. This is an awesome album. I'm ecstatic about it, all of this as we currently sit. So that brings us over to Two Sided. So let's go ahead and give that a listen.
I love how this one, I mean, it makes sense because it's called Two-Sided, but it almost has like an ominous feeling in the verses, and then she kind of like flips that for the chorus, which I'm really, really enjoying. I feel like we're just like having a crash out in the club, and I don't know, I like it. I'm in. I love a good crash out.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of notes on this one. I was vibing at this point. I want to again say how like soothing her voice is against these beats. Like it draws you in so much, and it's so nice.
For sure. 100%. This was the biggest single off the album so far, so like it was doing pretty good. You get these really calm synths like coming through with her vocals. They sound really nice together. This does kind of border into that pop sphere, but it's so cool and refrained from being pop that I think like it really hits me so much more kindly. Like maybe I can get into pop. I just don't necessarily like when it's in your face like pop music. Like this is a lot. Like this like I said, it just oozes cool. Like it's
far more
drips
subtle.
with it.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. I was really happy with it. This brings us into Luck of Life, so let's go ahead and do that.
Because need a sign. I can't find a way out without you, without you, without you. A way out without you.
Yeah, so if like two-sided we're like crashing out, I feel like this is like post crash out and we're just depressed and heartbroken and now we're crying in the club instead of, just trying to party our way through it. This is an album I'm struggling to take notes for though because I'm just enjoying the vibe. I like actually don't want to take a break to have to write things down.
Yeah. This one for me, like obviously you get a little bit kind of chimier spots with the pianos on this one. This one gave me a really like 90s R&B kind of feedback with it in a pretty big way. And like actually kind of the whole tail end of this album, I kind of really get that like kind of like Savage Garden-y vibe, more so on the next track. But this is where I kind of really started thinking about those types of tracks, which I love. This is I like the fact that this really kind of had a way less subtle beat to it, and it doesn't really blend in with so much of the soundscape in behind, and actually really kind of starts to separate a little bit of that instrumentation on the backtrack, which gives it a little bit, like I said, a little bit more differentiation from the rest of the project, which again just shows exactly taking a step outside of the box, even though it was only one step, so it feels really easy to jump right back into it. I literally wrote, I'm like, Arlo Parks could be one of my favorite like modern artists right now that's actively making music with stuff like this. I'm a huge fan of this album. I could say it pretty confidently at this point, even though there's still 2 more tracks. I felt really nostalgic for the energy she's creating, like of this like kind of nighttime sort of within and without feeling. Yeah. Right. So, and Luck of Life, was no different for that.
Yeah. The melody, I liked what you said. It sounded a little bit like Savage Garden or something like that. Like, because the melody to me was reminiscent of something like that, and I couldn't put my finger on it. So I think you just like unlocked that for me. So, just another solid track. I don't have a lot more to say than that, other than I liked it.
Yeah. Cool. That takes us into What If I Say It? What if I say it?
What if you say
Let's
it?
find out.
What does it matter if it was 20-something years ago? What does it matter if you still gotta find a way to cope? But what if I say, what if I say it? 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 Does that make it real? Does that make it real?
This one was just so pretty and like kind of really subtle in comparison to the rest of the tracks, but it kind of made it stand out even more for me. This was just nice.
It's nice. It's a bit slower, a bit sleepier is not the word, but it was definitely a slower, but still got that cool vibe in the background. Now that Brandon said Savage Garden, that's all I can think of.
It's super real.
Definitely got that there. Yeah, it's definitely there. I would say of all the songs on this album, this is probably my second least favorite. But again, it's still like a 8.5 out of 10. Like it's still.
This is one of my favorites. like by like again,
No kidding. Yeah.
like way up there. I shouldn't say by a long shot. They're all
really
fantastic.
good.
Yeah.
I love this one, like, and for a pretty specific reason. So, like, obviously, again, very 90s R&B, with that lo-fi and the cadence of the drums, like, kind of making me think of Prime Soft Savage Garden and that side of things. The way that the chorus slips into, like, a traditional pop chord progression, I thought was just really, really sweet. So, like, you get the grittiness of, like, that 90s R&B kind of sound in the verses, but the chord progression changes over specifically for that chorus and makes it really, really sweet, really, really caring. And I thought that was just a special way to like change the way that it breaks out from one to the other. I haven't really heard done quite so seamlessly that I can like think of off the top of my head. I thought they did such an amazing job with something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe like Dido, maybe like where I just got like the really kind of dark kind of sounding, again, like very nighttime-esque versus moving over to like a really, really pleasant, sweet poppy chorus.
Yeah.
You don't see a whole lot of that, and this did that, I think, phenomenally. So this is one of my favorite tracks.
Nice.
And then we pop into what is the final track with Flowette. So let's go ahead and give this one a listen.
Nice.
You say that when it comes to love, no one really has a choice. And I can sense a little fear in the way you throw your voice, making me feel like I'm 14, letting the world happen to me, scared to commit and scared to leave. What does it mean if I don't change? What does it mean if I don't change? What does it mean if I can't change? We're blossoming.
I feel like it was kind of nice that even though it's still like she's still questioning a lot of things here, I thought it was nice that we're kind of ending on a more sweet and hopeful note after like working through a lot of like heartbreak throughout this. I really liked the manic ending too. Like the instrumentals were all over the place, and like her little like vocals were just so the juxtaposition of the two was like really satisfying for me in the ending. Yeah.
I also wrote, I love the fast tempo drums leading up to the fade out at the end. It was a very solid final song. I wish it lasted a little bit longer because I was just, again, did not want to leave this mind space whatsoever. Great ending. Great song. Great album.
You get these really dreamy over filters like on the backtrack on this one. Kind of a decent little change up to close out the album. It still sits in that really laid back and vibey space. It shows a bit of differentiation from the rest of the album, which for a lot of people will be nice. The manic speed up of the drums and bass was also a really cool way to close out the project. Was really kind of where I was at on it. But yeah, so that is, pardon me, Ambiguous Desire by Arlo Parks. I can never remember the title. That was Ambiguous Desire by Arlo Parks. So, some in conclusions for you guys.
Yeah, I've already talked ad nauseum about how much I like this album. Production throughout clean and smooth. Again, the drum and bass is super engaging, easy to consume. Arlo's vocals are perfectly blended with so many of the melodies. Like it's just a nice warm hug for my ears the entire way through. You know. As already mentioned, this is driving down the highway, windows down, bass up. Just chill music. It's exactly what I need. After all those after all the singles, I think all the albums are solid, honestly, that we've listened to. But after all the singles, like, I needed something like this, and it was just, this is absolutely being added to a playlist. As I told you guys off camera, that I listened to it while getting my shower this morning, and I will continue. I can't wait to listen to this in my car. Actually, like the headphones is great. I can't wait to turn my bass up in my car and just have this going. I gave this an 8-9 out of 10.
Yeah, I enjoyed every second of this album. It's definitely one of the most satisfying probably album that we've reviewed so far this year. I'm gonna have this on repeat for like a really, really long time. I honestly don't have more words. I don't know, other than it was so satisfying, and so much of it I could just like feel deep within my body, and I love that so much. I don't know, it was a very I don't know, full experience for me. I rated it an 8.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, so this album is a no-skip instant classic for me personally. It really scratches a reminiscent R&B feeling with like that touch of electronica and just really fantastic songwriting. That said, I can understand it, for starters, not being for everyone. It's softer than I think a lot of people might think when they hear based off of nightlife and dancing. But I think it really brings me to a place of immediate recognition of those feelings. It also kind of lacks a lot of variation, I think. So if it's not your vibe from song 1, it won't be your song by song 9 or your album by song 9. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, that usually detracts from an album. So I'm going to try to take my own personal resonance out of it because it doesn't do anything excessively different from things that do exist. It isn't showing like a crazy dynamic artistry. And it isn't reinventing the wheel by any means. So like I'm gonna rate it with like that very much in mind. But for me, the vibe, it hits it perfect. It's like a sweet tooth for me, right? Not everybody's gonna like everything, but like the one thing for me is gonna be that thing for me. I think it oozes cool, and the way that it seems, and it like in a way that seems effortless. So I look impatiently to my next listen to this album. As a music critic, I gave it an 8.6. As a personal fan, like it's a 10.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
nice.
Yay.
Cool.
Yay.
Well done, Arlo. Well done.
No doubt. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
I'm
surprise.
so pumped for more Arlo Parks in the near future. But everybody out there, please let us know in the comments section. What did you think of Arlo Parks? Did you give it a listen? Are you as cool as us? Because I feel cool listening to it. And if you say no, I didn't like it, then that just means you're not cool enough.
Yeah.
Which is totally okay. Not everybody has to be cool, but that's why
that's why we're here.
That's
cool.
that's your MO. I'm telling you, be cooler if you did listen to it. But let us know in the comment section what your thoughts are, what were we right about, what were we wrong about. Make sure that you do that and press like. But otherwise, this is Ambiguous Desire by Arlo Parks by On Beat Off Script. I'm Brandito. I'm joined here by Bob and Mel, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Hell yeah. Mwah.
Take care, guys. Bye.
3, 2, 1.